Hey, today is election day here in the US, and strangely enough, I have no idea why suddenly my intro video just started playing there. That's pretty weird. Anyway, it is election day here in the United States. Hopefully, you have or are planning to vote. That is, if you live in the United States and are of voting age. So I've got to say that anyone out there who thinks that, hey, you know what, your vote does not matter, that is not the case. Your vote only does not matter if you allow people who tell you your vote doesn't matter, who want to squelch your vote and your rights. Then, if you listen to them, then your vote doesn't matter because you don't vote. So, anyway, just wanted to mention hopefully folks out there who are watching have voted or are about to vote. Anyway, let's get on with it because the Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com. Welcome aboard. Today is Tuesday, November 6th. As I mentioned, it is election day here. I am not going to get into politics or anything like that, but I did vote. So, I did my part, my civic duty. I take pride in the fact that I vote every time there's an election, so pretty cool. Do want to point out there's no news today, so today's show probably be a little bit shorter than usual because I don't have any news I'm going to cover today, but I am going to do a bit of a how to play as well as review The Captain is Dead Lockdown from Alderac Entertainment Group. So this is episode 192 192 of the Daily Dope. So if this is the first time you've ever tuned in, this is a live stream, very, very casual. I just tackle tabletop gaming for the most part, sometimes other geek culture items. But there is a chat available. It is through YouTube. If you are watching live and you have a question, you want to maybe find out something a little more in depth about The Captain is Dead Lockdown, or just want to say hello, by all means, chime in. Chat is not on screen. It's one of the ways I try to keep some of the stranger commenters at bay. But I do follow the chat, so feel free, chime in, and I will respond. So before I get into the how to play and review, do want to talk about what's coming up on future episodes of the Daily Dope. So tomorrow, it's Wednesday, so I like to do war games on Wednesday. I was going to just kind of look at Fire in the Lake, the special. It's not an expansion; it's an upgrade kit, really, from GMT for the second edition of Fire in the Lake, which is part of their coin series. It's the insurgency in Vietnam, and then I thought, you know what? Why don't we just unbox and take a first look at the new edition of Fire in the Lake? What the hey, right? So I am going to crack this open. I am actually going to be sending this out too because we did have, I believe the gentleman's name is Brant, who was one of the donators during our Extra Life charity stream on Saturday, and he scored this. But part of the giveaway rules, I guess we would say, for the GMT stuff was that I needed to shoot some unboxing videos. So I'm going to do that tomorrow. We'll also take a quick peek at the upgrade kit 2, which is available so that if you have the first edition of Fire in the Lake, you don't have to repurchase the entire game, just the upgrade kit. So I've got that. Thursday, I do RPGs on Thursdays, and I'm still up in the air what I'm going to tackle. I will say positively tomorrow what I will be taking a look at. It's going to be a review. Just two different products that I've been taking a peek at and reading through. Haven't decided which one I want to do yet. So there's that. Then on Friday, we're going to take a look at the latest release for Ascension, the card game. This is Delirium, and it is from Ultra Pro and Stone Blade Entertainment. So that will be on Friday's show. On Monday's show, I am going to unbox and take a first look at Marvel Code Names. Oh yeah, this was like one of the hottest items at Origins. I think it was almost positive it was Origins. And my good buddy, my best friend Elliot Miller over at voiceofv.com actually got me this for my birthday back on the 24th of October. So we're going to take a peek at that. Other stuff cooking for next week. I got the Fountain of Youth and Other Adventures, the expansion for the Lost Expedition from Osprey Games. So we might take a peek at this, although it's a pretty small expansion. So don't want to, we'll probably see how it integrates into the core game. We did play the Lost Expedition, by the way, during our Extra Life charity event as well. So that was pretty cool, and we lost. We got about halfway to the Lost City of Z, and that was it. That's as far as we got. We were a little past the halfway point, but we were playing the harder version, where you need to traverse the 9 cards. It's the 9 cards as opposed to making it shorter and doing 7. So, anywho, so that is what's cooking on future episodes of The Daily Dope. So, I'm sure folks are tuning in to take a peek at The Captain is Dead Lockdown from my friends over at Alderac Entertainment Group. It's designed by J.T. Smith and Jamie Verbsky, maybe it's Verbsky, with artwork provided by Gaetano Leonardi and J.T. Smith, as well as Scott Nicely. For crying out loud, why is that coming up with all this stuff? See, I just got back in from voting. So, I thought I had everything set up okay. There we go. It's more like it. Anyway, The Captain is Dead Lockdown is for 2 to 7 players, ages 14 and up. Plays in around an hour to an hour and a half, and carries an MSRP of $49.99. It is out now. It has been out for a bit. It came out during the summer. And let's take a peek. Let's move on over to the other camera, because I've got this all set up. So, I did an unboxing video that kind of showed off a lot of the components and everything. So what I'm going to do here is kind of discuss a little bit about the game, kind of take a tour of the board, talk a little bit about how to play, and then basically give you my thoughts on the game overall. So the premise of the game is, in the first, the captain is dead. Basically, the captain of the starship is dead, and the rest of the crew needed to prevent the ship from blowing up as they were being attacked by these aliens. So in essence, what happened is the crew did escape, but they were captured, and now they have been transferred to this alien prison. I do want to point out the game is from AEG as well as Game Crafters, because this game was available through Game Crafters as like I want to say, I think it was the 3rd episode in the Captain is Dead series, but through AEG it is the 2nd title in the series. I do not know of a 3rd yet, but that might be on the horizon. That might be cooking. Maybe I've just missed it and it's flown under my radar. So the premise basically is that you've got the crew, and they are captured and trying to escape this alien prison. To do so, what they have to do is they need to get to the launch bay, and they need to be able to prep an alien ship to be able to escape. Now, it's going to be a lot harder than just popping over to the launch bay and prepping an alien ship to get out of the alien prison. So the setup, basically, you're going to go around the board, and we'll see that we've got different rooms. So let's take a look at the center here, right? And I'll zoom in a little bit so we get a better look at the center here. So the center is basically showing us the various different rooms and hallways. So here is where the characters are going to start. They're going to start in the infirmary, which is basically where they're all being held. So We've got the infirmary, we've got the hallway here, we've got the armory, we've got the warden's office, we've got a mess hall, another hallway here, we've got a storeroom, there's a launch bay, another hallway, we've got the maintenance room, the holding cell, which basically that's where everybody's at, is over here, which is considered part of the infirmary, actually. Then, of course, we also have the security tower in the center. So what you'll start off with is you're going to start off with the various characters in this area here. We have all these different rooms, and we'll see that there's like kind of like lines that connect that are going to show, okay, oh, so this is the armory. These are the cards here for what goes on with the armory. There's a security station as well as a grenade locker. Here in the warden's office, we've got a communication system and closed circuit video. Here in the mess hall, we've got distractions. In the storeroom, we've got the storeroom card here, and these cards are going to show that they're locked. Kind of give you an example here. In the storeroom, this shows that, okay, so that's what happens. It's locked. You can't get any benefits from the storeroom. You can't get any of the stuff out of the storeroom. And what you can do is either you can unlock it or you can hack into it. So you've got these two options here. You'll also see anytime we see that there's a little kind of yellow icon here with a video camera, that means that the concealment level, which is a big deal in this game, will actually go down 10% because it's basically an alert. So as we go around, we've got all the different rooms. I'm going to zoom back out a little bit. But all these rooms, not all of them, but the vast majority of them will have some cards that will have different aspects of that room that come into play. So for an example here, we're looking at in the security tower, we've got computers and we've got internal sensors. In the launch bay, not only do we have the launch bay, but we also have the teleporter. And here in the maintenance room is the research station where we can actually do some upgrades that will give the characters, the crew members, some bonuses, things like that. This area here is for active anomalies. These are bad things that the crew will have to deal with. So to get the game started, we've got these alert cards. So the alert cards not only are going to show us what's going on each turn from like the aliens, but it's also our timing mechanism. So if we run through all of the alert cards, we will lose. So the vast majority of the alert cards are yellow, but we do also have orange, and we also have red. If we get to the point where we've got red alerts, we are in really big trouble. So what I've done here is to start the game off, you're going to actually draw 5 alert cards and set up the aliens throughout the rooms, and it tells you that you've got. So for an example, here was add 2 alien infantry to the storeroom, which I did. I put 2 alien infantry into the storeroom. So we've got these different standees. So as an example, these are the aliens. So that's alien infantry. Then we've got alien patrols, because we will actually have patrols that will go around the different rooms, just looking for escaped prisoners. We also have the various different commanders. Well, I should say we've got a lieutenant, we've got commanders, we've got hackers. So these over here are the hackers. And what happens is, as your crew goes around and we unlock these systems, these hackers can actually lock them back up. We've got the commander here. So the commander actually, when we run into the commander, he'll have more infantry, he'll have more troops. And then we also have these lieutenants who are tougher for us to kill. Now these come onto the board through the different alerts. So they don't, to start off the game, all we have are these regular infantry in the various different rooms or areas of the prison. So each of the players in this game is for 2 to 7 players. What you is going to have a character. What I was going to also point out too is if you have, of course, fewer than 7 players, let's say you had 3 players, you can decide, well, each of you guys are going to get, or each of the players are going to get 2 characters that they'll control. So the different characters have different colored bases, and each of these are a specific sort of expertise, right? So blue is like command, green is science, we've got security, we've got engineering, and these standees look like so. So for the actual characters, the background is actually transparent, whereas on the aliens, it is not. That's one of the ways that you can kind of help determine between, the various different standees, because you have to put them onto, you take the plastic and you put them on the little stands. Interestingly enough, I thought for sure when I first looked at this, I was like, oh, these things aren't going to stick into it. There's no way. These aren't going to stay on. Well, amazingly enough, they do. They stay on very, very nicely. So each of the players, you got a few different ways of determining what kind of characters you're going to get. Because there's so many different things going on in this prison. There's so many different systems that you need to tackle. You're going to want to have a nice mix of characters of the different different expertise. So, for an example, like we've got like a weapons officer. There's the first officer, a tactical officer. So we want kind of a mix. So what you can do is, say for an example, okay, player 1 says, yeah, I really want to be a command player. That's the sort of character I really want to play. So what you can do is you can take the blue, so there's going to be 3 of them. You're going to take the blue cards out, and what you can do is kind of just shuffle them up a little bit. All right, we got that, and you will be the Admiral. So there we go. So taking a look at the card itself, it's going to show you, okay, so what is the rank of this character? Because rank will actually determine the order of play. So it goes from the highest rank down. So it is, the lower number is a higher rank. So the Admiral is, of course, the highest rank that we've got. The Captain's dead. The Admiral's okay. Well, he's been captured. So it's going to show us how many actions do we get. So we're going to see that we get 4 actions. This little icon here simply says it is an action. This up here is going to show us how many cards do we get. What is our hand limit? So the hand limit for the player with the Admiral is going to be 6. Then we're going to see, okay, so what is the expertise of this character? Well, here we see that the Admiral's expertise is command. So what these icons here mean is any task, anything that you're doing that's going to require command points, the Admiral gets a discount of 2. So say for an example, we see something that says, oh, you need to have 3 command to do this. If it's the Admiral that's trying to do it, it's only going to cost 1 command because he has the bonus, the discount of these 2 command icons. Pretty easy enough. Then you're going to see what the Admiral's special abilities are. So here we've got, may draw improvised plans from any location. This is the improvised plans here. Normally these improvised plans are not available anywhere. They're only available in the mess hall. It says when drawing an improvised plan, draw 2 and choose 1. Place the other at the bottom of the improvised plan deck and gets 2 random veteran abilities instead of 1. So as an example, let's say we're playing with 3 players and everybody's just going to play 1 character each. So we got the Admiral. Then the next player says, hey, I want to be a science character. It's like, okay, well, let's take a look at the science characters. All right, so let's put the Admiral in the holding cell. So we've got the science characters, so we're going to take all the green. And once again, we could shuffle them up, say, okay, all right, well, there you go. And we've got the Scholar. All right, so we got the Scholar. Their rank is a 5. They've got 7 as far as their limit for their cards in hand. We see, hey, that's pretty interesting. Kind of a nice mix of skills there that we get a discount. Then we see, okay, so what are the Scholar's special abilities? So we got the Scholar, so let's find the Scholar here. Boom, there's the Scholar, pop the Scholar in there. And then let's say, all right, somebody wants to play somebody who's more action-oriented. So let's get the yellow. Weapons Officer. Soldier. There are only 2 yellow, so I'm going to say, okay, da-da-da-da. So you get the Soldier. Can kill all hostile aliens of a single type in the current location for an action. Kills all hostile aliens of a single type from any location via the security station for an action. So we get the Soldier. So let's take the Soldier, put them right there. Alright, so each of the players has their characters. Each of the characters are also going to receive a hand of 5 skill cards at random. So, as an example, let's say this is the Admiral's hand of cards. So we've got Command. We've got a... Wow, that's pretty cool. We've got a... Oops. One too many cards. Sorry. So we've got Command. We've got a wild card, which can count for anything. We've got Tactical. We've got another wild card. One of the cool things about the wild cards are they're also alien languages. And then Engineering. So this would be the hand of cards that the Admiral player is going to have available to them. So one thing to keep in mind too is that if characters receive some contraband, some of the various different items, those will count as a card in their hand. So like grenades and rifles, like laser rifles, or like translators, things like that, those pieces of equipment will count as a card as far as their hand limit. Another thing each of the players are going to get is each of the players are going to receive a veteran skill card, like a veteran ability card. So here we see that the Admiral gets 2 random veteran abilities, which is kind of weird because there are only 7 veteran ability cards available. So I would have liked to have seen more of these veteran ability cards, simply because, let's say for an example, you were playing all 7 players. Well, guess what? Somebody's going to be without a veteran ability here because the Admiral's taking 2, or the Admiral will get 1. Let's say for an example, all right, so we got Codebreaker. It costs you 1 less alien language to unlock a system. That is awesome. That is an awesome special veteran ability. And we've got Researcher. Researching upgrades and anomalies costs you 1 less science. All right, so we would have that. And the Admiral character is going to keep these cards handy, available to them. All right, what did I just do with the storage card? Did I accidentally knock that off someplace? Oh, there we go, storeroom card. Okay, so say for an example, that's the Admiral. So each of the players is going to go through doing that. They're going to get their skill cards, they're going to get their veteran ability card, and they're all going to start here. So what you'll get is, one thing I thought was kind of nice is that we see on the back of each of these character cards is pretty much your player aid. So it's going to say, for one action, this is what players may do. Because there's all these various different characters, you're always going to have some leftover cards that the players can use as their player aid. There are also 7 different additional aids which show us what the aliens. So it's going to tell us what are each of the aliens, what do the aliens do, can they be killed with 1 action, like the lieutenants actually need 2 actions to kill them. And then we show, where do the patrols go? How do the patrols move around the prison? Because one of the big things that you're trying to do is you're trying to avoid being detected by these other aliens. And even though you can kill the aliens, it will make it tougher to stay concealed unless you unlock like the incinerator, which I think is kind of funny because it's like, okay, so then basically means that you're dragging off these aliens to an incinerator so you're not leaving their bodies throughout the prison. One thing I do really get a big kick out of in this game is you come across, you have a story to tell once you're done playing it, even though there isn't like really role-playing aspects to the game. And there is a little bit of a sense of humor to the game. It's not super apparent. It's not like really like, you know, top level that there's humor to it, but there's some things that are kind of funny, or at least struck me as being kind of funny. So as I mentioned, the big objective. Why did I have such a hard time coming up with the word objective? That's weird. The big objective to the game is getting out of the prison and commandeering an alien ship and taking off. So no matter what's going on in the game, you gotta make sure to stay focused on, yes, our main goal is to get to the launch bay and to get out of here. So that is the main goal. The concealment is important too, because as this concealment moves down, and it starts at 100%, and there are a lot of different things that are going to bring this concealment down. Once you get to down here where it says set to kill, all of the aliens will now be set to kill any of the crew that they see outside of the containment area. Whereas throughout the game, before you get to this point, the vast majority of the aliens are going to they might beat up the characters and injure them, but they are going to escort them back to the concealment area, or to the containment area. So you gotta keep your eye on the concealment level, and of course you can actually get into the warden's office and boost up your concealment. So that is one of the cool things. There's different stuff you can do too, like hacking into the video system, hacking into the comm system, or overriding, basically unlocking that so that you can do those things. All right, to kind of give you an idea of how you would play. So we've got the Admiral, right? So we got the Admiral over here, and the Admiral can move 2 spaces for an action, or they can kill a hostile alien in their location in rank order. So they actually have to kill like the weakest up. They can carry another player for a space. They can give a skill or a tool to another player in their location, or they can take a skill or tool from another player in their location. So that's what they can do with their actions. That's just straight right off the bat. Now, as they go into different rooms, then they can take those actions as well. So, for an example, okay, so we're going to move the Admiral 1. We're going to move him 1, 2, out into the hallway. So we got no aliens in the hallway. Let's say we want him to... let's see if we can get him into the security station. So, we got 1, 2, that's 3. Now he's in the armory. He can spend 4, his 4th action, and he kills this alien infantry. So, alien infantry's gone. Anytime you kill an alien, for at least for the most part, unless you start unlocking stuff, you are going to lower your concealment by 10% for each alien that you knock off. At the end of the turn, for each player, they are going to draw an alert card and follow the instructions on the alert card. So as an example, it says, Launch Bay Search. Aliens in the storeroom and the maintenance room are moved to the launch bay. Add an alien infantry to the launch bay. Right, so we do have aliens here in the storeroom. So boom, they go to the launch bay. And aliens in the maintenance room going to the launch bay, and we add another alien to the launch bay. then we would perform hostile alien actions. So if we had an alien who was still around in the armory, they would basically, depending on what they are, normally they would escort him back in and lower your concealment. But seeing that there's nobody there, nobody realizes that, oh, hey, the Admiral's escaped and the Admiral is outside of the containment area. So you can cancel these actions. You can cancel these actions by spending these, or you can override the actions by spending these. And this is done by the active character. So for an example, we do have the Admiral who, right here, we could have overridden this by spending only one command, which we had a command card. We could have done that. We could have spent one command card because the Admiral gets that discount of 2 command. We could have overridden that, so this wouldn't have happened. They wouldn't have moved, and we would have had to lower the concealment 1 more. But because we don't really mind all these aliens being in the launch bay at this moment, because we don't need to be in the launch bay at this moment, this isn't a bad alert. We're okay. We're like, yeah, well, you know what? That's fine. Clear these guys out of here so we can do other stuff. So that would be it. We don't have any hostile alien actions to perform. So for an example, if we had some of these patrols out, we would be following the little map here of how these patrols move around to try to, search for anybody who's out. So that would also be considered a hostile alien action, but we don't have any of those out there. All right, so we would have the Admiral made his move. Well, let's take 5 skill cards for the heck of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now there is a storeroom that we have more skill cards in. Add some items as well. So let's say this was it would then be the soldier's turn. And their veteran ability is throw grenades and scent bombs up to 2 spaces away. Cannot be used with hologram or sympathizer. Because there's actually an alien sympathizer, which is kind of cool. And there's a hologram character too, which is kind of funny. All right, so we've got that. We've got the soldier. And we got science. Wow, he got a bunch of cool wild cards too. So we've got that. So the question we would have here is, because we know that the soldier can kill all hostile aliens of a single type in the current location for an action, could we get the soldier down into the launch bay to wipe these guys out? No, we couldn't. It'd be 1, 2, 3. He'd be out in the hallway. And then the 4th move would actually put him in the launch bay, which we wouldn't want to do that because that is going to definitely hurt us. So what we could do is we could conceivably just move him to the hallway as one of his actions, as 3 of... Oh, no, actually, what am I thinking? It's 2 spaces for an action. So that's 1. That's 2. That's 3. It's like, oh yeah, okay, so he's like Clint Eastwood going in there, wiping them all out. Problem is now, though, 1, 2, 3, 4, we would drop our concealment all the way down another 4 spots. So, because he's wiped all of these infantry out. So that would have been his 3rd move, and then he would have a 4th move. We're going to use one of the, here's his cards. Let's use one of the wild cards. Use one of the wild cards here as alien language. And then, of course, you've got a discard spot down here to unlock the teleporter. So we unlock the teleporter, and it says to use an action. And then it's showing what you also would need, and it says teleport any player or tool to any location may be used from any location. So the soldier has unlocked the teleporter for us. Pretty cool, pretty sweet. So discarded that. Still has these cards. And then we say, okay, so what's going on with the alert? Pull an alert. It says Warden Office search. Aliens in the armory and in the mess hall. So we don't have aliens in either of those. Are moved to the Warden Office. Add an alien infantry to the Warden's office. Rats. So we were hoping to try to maybe get into here to try to bump this up a little bit. But we'll just have to wait for that. Now, one thing I do want to point out is if at any time that you don't have any aliens on the board, let's say you've taken all the aliens out, you are going to be able to move this further up on the launch bay. So for an example, if there are no aliens, we would move it up to novice, coward, pointless, why bother, escape. So really, it's kind of like, this is almost like, oh, this is kind of like the morale of the aliens here. Sort of like, Now, to power up and launch, it'd be an action. We need 3 alien language to move this up as well. So there's 2 different ways for us to move this closer to us getting out of here. And that is by either making sure we have no aliens on the board, or by taking an action, spending 3, and also you've got the engineering points down here too. Forgot to mention that. There's a lot that has to be done, and it's easier to just, if we can get rid of all the aliens on one of the turns, to be able to move this closer up, getting us closer to escaping. Now, to escape, everybody has to be in the launch bay. So you have to get all your characters over to the launch bay. So that would be that alert. Just for the heck of it, let's take 5 skill cards. And let's take one of these veteran. Geez, so the scholar is an assassin? Okay. Alright, at the end of your turn, automatically kill a lone alien without reducing concealment level before it escorts you to the holding cell. Cannot be used with the hologram or the sympathizer, and can't be used when concealment level is set to kill. So Scholar says if at any time during her turn she has no skill cards, she may draw a random skill from the skill deck as a free action. May draw skills from the bottom of the skill discard if computers are offline. If the skill drawn is in alien language, she may draw a second card. Pretty sweet. Now her hand is 7 cards, and she's got 4 actions. So what we could do is we could send the scholar on into, let's say, maybe the maintenance rooms. That's 2. I should say that's 1 move. That's 2 moves. And she can use the research station. So the research station, we can do upgrades, or we can also research an anomaly as well. So what we might want to do is, take 2 of these, pop these out. So we've got alarm suppression, and we've got system jamming. So we already know that, and we don't have to unlock the research station, right? So it just shows right here, it's online. It's always online. So what we could do here is, she's going to have a discount of 1 science. What do we got for the skills? Ah, crap. Only 1 science. All right, well, maybe I wouldn't have gone in here right off the bat. She's got 2 tactical. I guess we could have had her go. No, actually, that's no good either. She's got 1 command. All right, well, let's just say I blew that. Would have blown that for the scholar. Don't know what I was thinking by going into that room. And we would draw an alert card. They would say aliens in the storeroom and in the warden's office and move to the mess hall. So these guys are now moving to the mess hall. Add an alien infantry to the mess hall. Then we take hostile alien actions. Well, we don't have anybody in there, so we're okay. So we would be all right with that. We would discard that. And then we would move on to the admiral. So basically what you're doing is, and you know, right now it's like, oh, that's no big deal. Looks like they're knocking off the aliens pretty good. They got this soldier here. He wiped those guys all out. True. But as we continue, every turn we're going to flip over one of these alert cards. And these alert cards are going to start pulling out aliens that are much tougher than these just basic infantry. It's going to start bringing out lieutenants. It's going to start bringing out patrols, commanders. Once we get into the orange alert, it's going to be even worse. If we get to the point where we're drawing red alert cards, we're in pretty deep. It's going to be much more difficult. So a lot of times when you're playing, you really want to try to get most of the stuff you need to get done, which is basically in the launch bay, done as quickly as possible, because as we move into the higher alerts, we're gonna have more trouble to tackle on the board. One of the things I should point out too is we've got these improvised plans, which we already know that the Admiral can draw improvised plans. These are kind of cool. A lot of these are kind of like one-shots that you can use. So for an example here, it says disarm. At any time, remove a honeypot as a free action. You do not need to be in the honeypot's location to use this card. Discard after use. Then we got screams in space. At any time, remove up to 3 hostile aliens from any location or locations in the prison as a free action without lowering the concealment level. Discard this card after use. So, as an example, let's say we were moving on to the Admiral's turn. The Admiral says, okay, I'm going to draw improvised plans because he can do that from any location. So he did it from the armory. He's going to take the screams in space. This would get discarded, which would go down here. And then we'd be able to hang on to that. And the Admiral can use this whenever he wants. So he might decide, hey, he's going to take the aliens out of the security tower, maybe one of these out of the mess hall as well. So that would be a free action basically, or I should say it's an action. It's not counting towards anything here. And then we're looking at the grenade locker. See about picking out some grenades. So you would use an action, spend this, unlock the grenade locker, and to take a grenade, he would need to spend 2 command as well as a tactical. Well, we already know the Admiral gets a discount of 2 command. Does he have a tactical here? He sure does. Boom, now he's got a grenade. So you would take the grenade from over here, put the grenade in his hand. What a grenade basically does is the grenade will kill all aliens in a specific location. So you have to be adjacent to that location, unless, for an example, we've got the soldier here. He's got the grenadier skill, so he can actually toss it a couple of spaces away, a couple of locations away. And it does trigger an alarm, which triggering the alarm is what drops our concealment down. It's important to keep in mind, alerts and alarms are different things. Sometimes it'll tell you exactly what's going on with an alarm. An alarm is normally just lowering your concealment. But different cards might have different things to do with an alarm. But anyway, so that's what the grenades do. Honeypots are these little cubes. There's 3 honeypot cubes, and it will make things more difficult for the players to do things in those locations. So you might get an alert card that tells you, okay, put a honeypot in the launch bay. Well, anytime you're trying to do things in the launch bay, it could set off an alert. Whenever you try to hack something, if you don't unlock it, if you hack it instead, that sets off an alert. And honeypots are kind of a pain in the butt, to be honest. They're kind of a real pain in the rear end. So basically that would be 3 actions for the Admiral. And we'd maybe say, okay, let's get into the Warden's office. So we got the Admiral in the Warden's office. So then we would move to the Soldier, and then we move to the Scholar again, and we would continue to play. And what'll happen is, if we get to the point where the aliens are set to kill, this becomes pretty tough. If we start getting the aliens that, like, if they run across you, they beat you up, like the patrol, right? The patrol, they'll injure a character and then escort them back to the holding cell, which, of course, in the infirmary, you can heal up. So that's kind of cool. But you could be injured and you basically just put your character pawn, the little standee, on its side, and they can still do certain things, but there are certain things that they can't do. They can still move, they can still fight aliens. Amazingly enough, people will be like, what? What are you talking about? They're hurt? Yeah, because they're like a cornered animal. It even says in the rule book. It's like cornered animals fight back, right? And they can use their special abilities. So they don't lose their special ability that they get. So let's say, for an example, a character gets killed. Well, you've got some variants on how you play the game. You could play it if you're looking to do like a really quick game and a dirty game and a game you're probably not going to win. You could just say, hey, when these 3 characters get killed, that's it, game over. But what most people will do is they will continue to, what they do is, let's put these guys back where they were. If a character gets killed, then you're going to select one of the other 2 crew members, although the yellow doesn't have 2, 3 total, there's only 2 total. You would take another character from that specialty and bring them into play. They have no skill cards, they don't have veteran abilities or anything like that. They're just a new character that you would bring in so that there's really no player elimination in the game unless you go through the entire crew or you go through the entire deck of alert cards. So, and that can happen too, even if you're doing the no player elimination. So, gotta point out, this can be a tough game to play. This tough game to win. It's not a tough game to play, but it can be a very tough game to win, because what will eventually happen is you'll start getting all these other different aliens all popping out. The game scales very nicely, considering if you have 7 players, because at the end of everybody's turn, you're going to get an alert card that's going to go off, and you're going to have more aliens being added. So, for an example, add 2 alien infantry to the launch bay. We've got aliens to the launch bay and the mess hall are moved to the storeroom. Add an alien infantry to the storeroom. Then we also have stuff, let me find them in here. We've got these anomalies that will take place. Here we go. Let's do the launch bay. There we go. So we got an anomaly. So the anomaly actually goes over into here. So you actually have to go and utilize the research station to take care of the anomaly. And the anomaly is something bad that just keeps going on. So here we've got launch bay honeypot. Add a honeypot to the launch bay. Funny enough, that's where I got a honeypot, over there. Anytime a player unlocks, hacks, or uses a system in a location with a honeypot, lower concealment level by 10%. And to be able to research this, to overturn this, you would have to take an action and have 4 science. So that's kind of tough. That's pretty tough to tackle, to get rid of. So you're going to have to start getting skill cards, things like that. Some aspects of the game to keep in mind when you're playing is try to set up the other players for success. This is a cooperative game, so don't end up leaving other players when it's their turn kind of like behind the 8 ball. Try to leave yourself in locations where if you've got cards or equipment that somebody else could use, that they can easily get that. So that's one of the things that's important too, because a lot of times, because you can trade skill cards, which is very important. So for an example, if we had the Admiral here, and the Admiral had just like tons of command cards, that's kind of silly for him to have all those command cards, especially when it turns out that he's got that discount of 2 command. Just like if you had a science officer that had a whole bunch of science cards. Yeah, you might want to hang on to a couple of them to tackle some of the like more difficult things, like say for an example, this anomaly, get rid of that anomaly. But for the most part, other player characters are going to want to have some of those cards too, because you can't just have, say for an example, you can't just have the admiral taking care of command things. You can't just have the science officer taking care of science things. You can't have the tactical officers taking care of tactical things only. Yes, that's their specialty. They're good at it. It helps you if when they're doing it, right? Doing certain things like here in the warden's office where we've got a lot of tactical stuff. Yeah, then that's great. But there you are going to run into things where you kind of want to have a jack of all trades sort of approach to some of these different things that you got to unlock and things that you have to take care of. So the game does play in about, we played with 4 players. It took us a little over an hour. I would think with 7 players, you are probably pushing past that 90-minute play time. I have not played with that many players. The game scales equally well with, a couple of players or 3 players or 6 players. Last time we played, we actually played 3 players, but each of the players had 2 characters. So, and that ran about 90 minutes before we lost. So, yeah. It's kind of funny because starting off, it's like, yeah, this is pretty easy. Oh, yeah, getting rid of these aliens. Oh, that was pretty easy taking care of that. You can have things just go completely wrong for a few turns and really make things very, very difficult for you to be able to escape the prison on the alien planet. Which, another thing I want to point out too is while we were playing, some of the other players were getting way too wrapped up in taking care of like going to the storeroom to get stuff or trying to get our concealment all the way back up to 100%, which is pretty much like almost impossible when we should have been focusing on getting off of the alien prison planet with the stolen ship. So, all in all, that is pretty much the Captain is Dead lockdown. So, what do I think of the game? I like it. I like it quite a bit. The art style is kind of bizarre. I'm not a huge fan of the art style. It's fine. It's okay. I mean, I understand that's the art style for the series, and that's how it works. That's fine. That's okay. It's just a little bizarre, kind of bizarre in my opinion, but it's all right. I'm not digging the game for that. I like the fact that this is truly a cooperative game, because you are going to want to kind of discuss what everybody's planning on doing, as opposed to, well, it's a co-op, but I'm going to do my thing on my turn, and then you do your thing on your turn, and so on and so forth, because that's just going to be a recipe for disaster, and you're going to lose. You do need to kind of discuss what's going on and how you're going to attack it. Kind of talk about, hey, these are the skill cards that I've got. These are the items that I've got. Contraband is kind of funny. Contraband's a pretty interesting card I didn't really talk about. But Contraband has all these different like items that you can score. And it's kind of interesting because the way I kind of read the rules was that you can't discuss what the contraband that you've got is until you use it. And if you do, then it's taken away. Then you lose it. I thought that was kind of funny, especially being in a cooperative game. I like the fact that the game is not easy. It's not a pushover. It's not always just reacting to things too. You can be proactive in the game, which I do like a lot as well. Some people think some people might find that it's a little too difficult. We lost more than we won. We played 4 times. We only won once. But that being said, we had a really good time playing it. Just like, as an example, I was talking about the Lost Expedition from Osprey Games. That's a pretty tough game to win. You're going to lose about 70% of the time. You're not going to make it to the Lost City of Z. Yet we still enjoy it. And I think one of the reasons why I really got a kick out of the Captain is Dead Lockdown is that after you finish playing it, you do kind of have a narrative. You've got a story that you can share. Be like, oh, things were really going well until all of a sudden we had all those aliens show up in the mess hall, and we were in the mess hall, and then we didn't have enough actions to take them all out, and we kept getting dragged back over into the containment area. things like that. It's like, well, that was the moment that things really started to take a turn for the worse. I like that. I always like games where I have like a little bit of a story that I can tell once the adventure or gameplay has wrapped up. So, I think this is a really good fit for a lot of players who enjoy challenging co-op games. Now, I'm sure there's going to be people out there who are going to say, oh, wow, this game was super easy. I didn't run into that. And then I guess there's going to be people who are going to say, oh, it's impossible to win. I don't think that's it either. But if you like a good, challenging, cooperative game that's got kind of a little tongue-in-cheek feel to it, then I would definitely recommend The Captain is Dead Lockdown. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give The Captain is Dead Lockdown a very, very solid 8.3 out of 10. So that is it for today's show. As I mentioned, on tomorrow's show, I am going to... Now let me grab it. Yay! This is the heaviest of the coin series that I've got around. I'm going to unbox the second edition, the new edition of Fire in the Lake, Insurgency in Vietnam, for War Game Wednesday. It is from GMT Games. It is part of their coin series. All right, so that is it. As I like to always point out, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. You know the drill by now. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. I will be back tomorrow. As I mentioned before, be sure to be out there and vote. Come on. Flex your political muscle out there, folks. And as I mentioned, I'll be back tomorrow. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.